What if I told you Elon Musk is trying to download thoughts from your brain and maybe someday rewrite them? Sounds like sci-fi, yet he already implanted a chip in a human skull. Why does he want to live inside your mind? Okay, so you've heard of Neuralink, the brain chip company backed by Elon Musk. But what is it really? And why do people get excited or terrified by the idea of a computer inside your head? In broad strokes, Neuralink is developing a brain-computer interface, a device that can read and possibly write signals to your brain. The goal: enable you to control devices with thought, restore lost function in paralysis, maybe even augment yourself. But this is hardly a brand new dream. Implants, electrodes, brain stimulation, those have roots going back more than a century. In this video, we'll dig into the odd and fascinating history behind brain implants, see how we got to Neuralink, explore its promises and risks, and ask, why does Elon Musk really want to put a chip in your brain? The idea that electricity and the brain connect is old. In 1870, scientists Edward Hitzig and Gustav Fritsch stimulated parts of a dog's brain with electrodes and caused muscle twitches. That was one of the first proofs that electrical stimulation could trigger movement. A few years later, in 1874, Robert Bartholomew did a shocking human experiment. He stimulated a woman's exposed brain tissue and induced movement. Through the early 20th century, neurologists mapped brain areas by probing with electrodes, finding, for example, which parts controlled movement, touch, speech, etc. In the 1950s and 60s, psychologist Jose Delgado stirred public imagination and fear when he experimented with an implantable stemoceiver, a device that could stimulate brain regions wirelessly. He famously controlled a charging bull in a Madrid bull ring, making it stop mid-charge by sending electrical impulses. Delgado also explored whether you could manipulate aggression or pleasure by direct brain stimulation. He wrote a book, Physical Control of the Mind, arguing that remote control of behavior was feasible. These early experiments raised both excitement and alarm. The notion that you could control someone's brain was deeply disturbing. By mid-20th century, techniques evolved. In the 1930s, neurosurgeon Wilder Penfield developed the Montreal procedure while patients were awake. He would electrically stimulate parts of the cortex to map out function, then treat epilepsy by removing or altering a region. Later, in the 1990s, deep brain stimulation DBs matured as a therapy. Electrodes implanted deep in the brain deliver pulses to treat Parkinson's disease, essential tremor, depression, and obsessive-compulsive disorder. DBS works by modulating neural circuits, nudging them rather than fully overriding them. Also around this time, more refined brain-computer interface (BCI) research began. In 1998, neurosurgeon Philip Kennedy implanted the first invasive BCI in a human being. Around 2003, a project called BrainGate allowed patients to control a cursor or robotic arm by thought. So by the turn of the 21st century, it was proven possible, though fragile and limited, to connect neural activity to machines. The major challenge: how do you connect hundreds or thousands of neurons, reliably, safely, over decades? Early BCIs had just a few electrodes were wired, and often failed or caused scarring. Over time, researchers tried new materials, thin polymer probes, flexible wires, microfabrication, nanoelectronics, and wireless telemetry. Neuralink specifically designs polymer threads with many electrodes, and a robotic sewing-like machine to implant them with minimal damage. The Neuralink robot surgeon is meant to insert those threads with precision, adjusting in real time for brain movement due to breathing, heartbeat to avoid damage. Musk has claimed the procedure could eventually be as simple as LASIK eye surgery. Not everyone wants to crack open the skull. A clever alternative is the stentrode, an electrode array mounted on a stent and delivered via blood vessels. No open brain surgery needed. That device is in trials with people who have paralysis, and they can already control things like typing or email using thought. This vascular BCI is appealing because it reduces surgical risk. Other advanced ideas include neural dust, tiny free-floating sensors in the brain, powered ultrasonically, or magnetoelectric implants for wireless stimulation. So the field diversified: invasive electrodes, vascular implants, wireless micronodes, optical methods, optogenetics, etc. While many BCIs stayed in animals, human trials accelerated in the 21st century. The first human BCI trials showed basic cursor movement. By 2020, a device known as Stentrode allowed some patients to control computers by thought through a blood vessel implant. In 2023, Neuralink got FDA approval to begin human trials. In January 2024, Musk announced the first human Neuralink implant. The patient, called Noland Arbaugh, had paralysis from a neck injury. He demonstrated cursor movement and basic computer control via thought. Later, in 2025, a paralyzed woman named Audrey Cruz became the first female Neuralink recipient, writing her name after 20 years using only brain signals. These are early, fragile steps, but they already feel like sci-fi. The most immediately accepted use case is medical, helping people with paralysis, ALS, spinal cord injury, stroke, amputations, giving them back ability to control computers, prosthetics, or interfaces. Neuralink, at least in its public narrative, pitches itself as a tool for those with unmet medical need. The BlindSight program aims to restore vision in blind patients whose visual cortex is intact. If fully successful, these devices could transform rehabilitation, reduce disability, and change how we treat neurological diseases. But Musk's long-term vision is more radical, merging humans with artificial intelligence. He has said he wants a symbiosis between brain and AI, so humans don't get left behind. The idea, someday your brain could connect directly to the cloud, boosting memory, processing, telepathy-like communication. This taps into a deeply sci-fi vein, raising questions of identity, access, inequality, or naturally. This raises large ethical safety and power concerns. Brain surgery is high risk. Tiny wires can migrate or damage tissue. Implants may fail or cause inflammation. If your brain is wired, who controls the data? Could someone hack your thoughts? Will only the rich afford brain upgrades, deepening divisions? Brain stimulation may have complex effects. Misuse for persuasion, influence, surveillance is a nightmare scenario. Also, animal welfare has been a flashpoint. Neuralink has been criticized for euthanizing many primates and other trial animals due to complications. Technical challenges remain huge. Long-term stability, biocompatibility, battery life, signal noise, data decoding. We are at a point where a concept once relegated to science fiction is emerging in clinical trials. The chip inside a human brain is no longer a metaphor. It's happening, and that changes how we think about the boundary between humans and machines, health and enhancement, free will and control. Surprising curiosities: control a bull mid-charge. That story about Delgado's remote control of a bull is real, though exaggerated in portrayal. It shows how early pioneers toyed with behavior control. First, human BCI wasn't in 2000s, but 1998. Philip Kennedy's 1998 invasive BCI predates a lot of popular awareness. Implants via blood vessels. The Stentrode lets you avoid open brain surgery by going in through blood vessels. Very clever. Tiny wires, huge scale. Neuralink's threads are about 4 to 6 micrometers wide, thinner than a human hair. And the system strives for thousands of channels. Brain layers metaphor. Musk sometimes frames the chip as adding another layer to the brain, like software on hardware, merging biology and digital. We started with experiments flicking electricity into dog brains and built up 2 tiny threads dancing inside a human skull. The idea of linking brain and computer has traveled from fringe curiosity to experimental reality. Elon Musk's Neuralink is not the sole actor, but it's perhaps the most headline-grabbing. Why does he want to put a chip in your brain? Because he bets the future is no longer human versus AI, but human with AI. If your brain can connect to a network, your thoughts become data, your mind becomes a platform. And if that sounds scary, it's because it is. But that's also what makes it fascinating. In the near term, Neuralink and other BCIs could be life-changing for people with paralysis or neurological disease. In the longer term, they could rewrite what it means to be human. So I'll leave you with this. The boundary between our organic selves and machines is getting blurrier by the decade. We may soon ask, are we just brains wearing bodies? And is your next upgrade already inside your skull? Which everyday object or idea should we explore next? How your phone listens, how the internet remembers, or how satellite eyes watch the Earth? Drop your suggestions below. And if you enjoyed this journey into your own skull, like, subscribe, hit bell. Let's dig deeper together next time.